and welcome to my channel, Fearless Vision. Yes, this is my channel, and today we're going to be talking about secrets of 11 successful female visionaries using failure as fuel. This video is a little bit different than the past video, so do me a favor. Can you do me a solid? Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Why? Because more women can find out about this video. And why is this important? This is important because I'm a woman on a mission. I want to empower millions of women on this planet to really transcend how they see themselves, change the world with their vision and their mission and purpose. And I do that by using my mindset management and neuroscience systems to evolve women in particular. So we're going to get into that. Make sure you like this video, as I mentioned, subscribe to my channel, and comment below if you want to enter my monthly drawing to win a digital copy of my book, The La Dolce Vita Formula, A Woman's Guide to Living a Fearless and Fabulous Life. You can also go to fearlessandfabulousbook.com if you want to grab that digital copy. It's about $9.99. So if you don't know about me, actually one of the things, so my business and brand is all about empowering women. I have many vehicles in which I do that: coaching for Fortune 500 companies, and also private coaching for entrepreneurs and executives. And I also do smaller mastermind programs. And one of my latest projects is Fierce Femme Wine. And the vision behind Fierce Femme Wine is really about creating this whole dialogue to inspire change. And I do that through the messages that I put on my wine. There's a whole story behind that. I'm not going to get into that today. But if you look at these two labels, own your value and own your value, earn your worth. And would you agree, if you do not see yourself adding value to your clients or your business or your relationship, that you are going to sabotage it? And so that is exactly what this label means about owning your power as a woman. And these are my two latest releases. Feminist, my definition of a feminist is a woman who becomes her own hero, and really understanding that we have the power to change the world. I truly believe that we always had the power. We can look back historically to see the things that women have done to transform society, to transform their community, and transform the world. So if you want to learn more about me, you can go to heatherpicken.com or fiercefemme.com and learn more about the wine. Support the wine because it supports the message. Okay, so let's dive right into the topic today. And we're going to go into number one. This trailblazer, she needs no introduction, Oprah. And so what I did with this mind map, I broke it down to different categories and women that I admire. There's so many women that I admire. And I wanted to break down, just the different aspects of failure, like what was a notable failure, and a quote that really I felt resonated not only with me, but I really felt it could resonate with you, because here's what happens. Women, we love listening to stories. And actually, neuroscience has proven when you tell stories, it activates oxytocin in the brain, and we feel more connected. We feel connected to the story. And guess what? When you feel connected, your brain actually changes. And so that's the reason why I want to share these powerful stories. I know when I was feeling, just kind of down on my luck, or if I was having a breakdown, one of the very first things that I did was look at other women that had these challenges, that had quote unquote failure, and be able to use it as fuel. And as a result, guess what? I rewired my brain because I understood that there was a formula of success that these women, really embodied. And so these women are demonstrations to all of us to look at how we can reframe failure. Okay, so let's look at Oprah. Now, these are the stats that I found recently. She's worth 2.7 billion. You know, her industry, obviously, she is a TV host. She's a media mogul, and her failure highlights what was interesting. I mean, there's so many things about her story if you studied her history. But what was interesting is that this was a pivotal failure in her career when she was fired from her job, from her TV job in Baltimore, because, you know, the producer said that she was too emotional. And it was interesting because she was just trying to be herself. And when you are your authentic self, when you step into your authentic power, that is where you can really transform your organization, transform your industry, transform your family. And so I highlighted this quote. She's got many great quotes. Can we all agree? There's no such thing as failure. Failure is just life trying to move us in another direction. Now, here's what I want to reflect on this. So it's not just reading the quote, but let's all have reflective awareness and what this really means. So, for example, I can remember times investing in my business. I've invested over 100,000 in my business with coaches and marketing. And I will have to tell you, there have been times where I would launch something and it wouldn't work out. And I started to beat myself up. Like, is there something wrong with me? And I realized that I could stay stuck in my thinking, or I could look at failure and change the meaning of it. And that meaning could go to, or I should say, pivot in a different direction. And I find all too often, you know, women don't embody that wisdom of failure. So if something isn't working out right now in your life, I want you to take this advice right now and ask yourself, you know, what is failure trying to tell me? Or what is that different direction that I can, you know, focus on? And you start writing it down and journaling. I have this entire process that I teach my clients how to get out of their own way so that they can be open to receive. Here's how your brain works. If you keep telling yourself what's wrong with me or how come I failed, then what happens is your brain starts locking in to that thought, creating an emotion, reinforcing that belief. And there's no wonder why many women have stayed in that negativity. So I want you to reflect on this and let me know which quote or person that you most admire, or if there's someone on here that isn't, maybe I'll make a different video about them. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Sara Blakely, love her. She is worth 1 billion. Industry is fashion, and you probably know her as the creator of Spanx, the undergarment. Definitely a trailblazer. She actually did, if you go on YouTube, you can probably find the interview she did with Oprah. It's an amazing interview. But what was interesting about her failure highlight, you know, she was her catalyst. She had a string of career failures that led her to Spanx. You know, she was actually going to be a lawyer, but she bombed on the LSAT twice. Isn't that interesting? She said, I ended up at Disney World trying to be goofy, and they wanted me to be 5'8", but I was 5'6". They wanted me to be a chipmunk. So I think that's kind of interesting. You know, she was just like, okay, this is not working. What else should I do? But what I really love about her quote is, courage is the strength to do things in spite of fear, not without fear, she said, but really in spite of that. The only failure is not trying. So think about this. How many times as women do we hold ourselves back because we are so scared to put ourselves out there? And I will tell you, we have been conditioned at a very young age as little girls to run away from fear. Whereas men, they are eating, or little boys, they're eating it for breakfast. So what's interesting, if you don't know about her background and how she grew up, her father sat her and her brother around the table every single week, the dinner table, and said, where did you fail? And if they couldn't come up with where they failed, he would actually be disappointed. So can you see, if you're reframing failure, failure is just a result. It is not, the end of your life. Although, let's be honest, it can feel that way. But I want you to get into this mental model of reframing so that you can retrain your brain to see life in another way. And this is exactly what I teach my clients. I go into the neuroscience and psychology in my book, The La Dolce Vita Formula. As I mentioned, the link is below in this video if you want to check it out. But this is something that I've been always interested in, really understanding human behavior and why is it that we fail? And then going deeper into the female mind. Why do a lot of women, stop themselves? And they stop themselves because of the need of approval. They might be competent, right? But they're not confident. And so you really have to look at these other trailblazing women to see that failure, it's not the end all be all, right? You have to keep pushing forward. Okay, so let's move on to this next woman, Kendra Scott. She has a net worth of 500 million and her company is evaluated at 1 billion. Now, all of these numbers and stats are the times where I did my research. Now, at any point, depending when you're watching this video, it could slightly change, but just know that this is what I recently researched. So she has a company called Kendra Scott. It is in the fashion category, jewelry, more importantly. And her failure highlight, she had a hat business that actually failed. She was so passionate about hats and it just didn't work out. And so the catalyst that really shifted her, pushed her to her greatness, was that she got divorced. After the hat business failed, she got divorced. She had 2 young kids to take care of. So for those women that have children, if you're a single mom and you're beating yourself up, I want you to look at Kendra Scott and her catalyst and not allowing herself to beat herself up, which a lot of women do, especially if you have a kid. I've worked with a lot of women, a lot of single parents that, especially with the woman, she tends to be the caretaker of the children when there's a divorce, and she's beating herself up. She's feeling a lot of guilt and shame because the marriage didn't work out. And I'm not going to get into how to transform your mind around that. But what I want you to do is to look at these successful women, particularly Kendra Scott, who went through this, and use it as a template. Her quote is, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you've already failed. Now, what I find interesting about this quote, let's just say if you're a coach or a consultant, and you're doing what everyone else is doing, and you find that the market is saturated. Well, number one, the market is saturated. That could be a mindset issue, a messaging issue. But what I want you to do is to expand how you see your business, especially if you're not getting traction. And also realize that sometimes things have to die before they can grow. With your business evolution, a lot of women get scared when their business goes in reverse. I've actually helped many women, get out of their own way when this happens, when they don't understand the changes that are coming in the marketplace. I could tell so many stories about that, but I will have to tell you is that when people are zigging, you got to zag, right? And so you look at someone like Kendra Scott, who, she had a family, she had kids to raise, and she just focused on her genius zone. She also asked herself questions on what she could do and do it differently. So again, I want you to look at her as a role model, especially if you have kids, especially if you're a single mom. That is such a tough job. Okay, now let's go to Vera Wang. Her net worth, 420 million. Industry as a fashion designer. Now, her failure highlights, what was interesting when I was doing this research, is so much fun. She didn't make the Olympic figure skating team. So she had a dream of being a figure skater, and that didn't work out. And so it shifted her career path. So look at your own life, look at where you failed, and also look at, what the pivot you did in order to move forward. And so she says, it's not about failure, it's about how much you love what you do. And this is so true. It's like when you love what you do, when you have a big vision, mission, and purpose for how you want to serve the world, you will not look at your business or your career as, oh, now I have to do this. So you definitely want to find an area of your life that you absolutely love, that you're creating some kind of financial abundance, whether it is your career or a business. I really believe, even if you're an executive, that you should have a side hustle. Every woman should have, multiple streams of income, because that job is no guarantee, even if you love it, because industries are changing. They're evolving rapidly through technology. So nothing in life is a guarantee, nothing in life. But, again, we can learn from all of these amazing women. So let's go on to the next one. Arianna Huffington. Her net worth is $50 million. She is in the media industry, Huffington Post. One of her failure highlights, she was rejected from 36 publishers from her second book. Her failure quote, "We need to accept that we won't always make the right decisions, that we'll screw up royally sometimes, understanding that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success." This is a very juicy quote, and I want to break it down in a way that you can really absorb it. A lot of times it goes back to women thinking they, when you're pursuing a goal, let's just say you're pursuing a business goal, and maybe it's a launch in your business. I've done many launches. Some of them flopped. Some of them were wildly successful. And I will tell you, I remember beating myself up because I didn't understand that failure is part of success and it's also necessary, that there was something wrong with me. And so again, it is the lens in which we look at failure that really it is part of the equation. So far, you can see that all of these women have had their own trials and own tribulations. So in order to triumph, you absolutely must value failure if you want to get ahead. Now, in neuroscience, and what I do when I'm working with clients is I help them to neuroplastically rewire their brain, which according to neuroscience, it takes milliseconds to make those new connections. Why is this important? This is important because if something doesn't work out one time, you do, it doesn't work out, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, you're going to give up, right? You're absolutely going to give up, because you're looking at the outer world as data, and this is just what happens. So I want you to discard the data, and you have to ask yourself more empowering questions like, what can I do to change this? Is there a different direction that I need to be going? But also embracing the part of failure is really key. So when you start embracing failure, and this is actually creating a habit, which I work with behavioral change and mindset management, then what happens is you become this different person. It's through the repetition of looking at failure as fuel that you're no longer that same person that beats yourself up. Now, that's not to say you're never going to have a negative thought, but it's how you manage your thoughts and how you manage your emotions that form your beliefs. Okay, so let's go to the next woman. Okay, so I put the phonetic pronunciation, Anjali Sood, and she is the CEO of FEMME, according to when I last did this video, and her industry is the tech industry. Now, she's really interesting because, she was rejected from every single big bank for investing. So every big investment bank, she was rejected. Now, here's what happened. Here's what the catalyst moment was. She took a job as the first analyst for a small firm called Saget Stagnant advisors. I think that's what it's called. Sometimes my brain looks at things differently. But anyways, what she was saying is, I found myself doing things that most investment bankers don't get to do. So she saw that as a benefit, right? So she was hired and she hired and trained new analysts, helped the fledgling company expand internationally, and worked on partnerships. So she had a highly refined skill set. Everyone was rejecting her. So she went to this other company. They weren't really that big. And she said, hey, I've got the specialized knowledge. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to train you. And she said that the company had taught her that sometimes the non-traditional path can be the best one. So how can you apply this to your life right now? How can you look at your rejections that you're going through in your career, your business, and flip the switch, right? Flip the switch. Is there a different path for you to go? I have totally been there where I was in my business, things weren't working out, and I stopped and I said, I'm playing way too small. How can I transform or repackage my information in a way that I know can really serve my ideal clients? And so these are the questions that you need to ask yourself. And she was persistent and consistent. And even having that rejection, she kept moving forward. So she says failure is essential to success. Can you see the reoccurring pattern and theme of all of these successful women and trailblazers? It is essential. You can create your own opportunities, she said. She says, it's sometimes really smart to look where others aren't looking. So remember I said before, when other people are zigging, you need to zag. You can create your own opportunities. You know how you can do that? Is to get out of your own way and to pause, to let go, and realize that you are here. You're on this planet Earth to do amazing things. If someone is rejecting you in your company, in your business, or any area of your life, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. What it means is perhaps there's another direction to get to your ultimate destination. I speak from experience. I speak from the clients I've worked with worldwide, from entrepreneurs to executives. And I have to tell you, when you understand this, when you can emotionalize failure and use it as fuel, you'll never look at your life in a different way. Because here's what happens to your brain. When you're internalizing failure as it's so-called bad, you have highly charged perceptions. Your perceptions create your reality. So anytime, something new comes along, an opportunity, you're not going to see it or you're not going to take it. So would you agree that it is important to change the way that you see things? When you change the way that you see things, the world changes. Now, a lot of times people think that quote came from Wayne Dyer. It actually didn't. It came from Max Planck, who is a quantum physicist. But anyways, both quotes, it doesn't matter. They both said it. They're both important. But I really, really want you to get this concept. Okay, so let's go to our next fearless female leader, Barbara Cochran. Cochran. I have to apologize because sometimes my brain sees names in a different way. But anyways, we know she's fabulous. She's worth $80 million as of my last research, my data. And we know her obviously from the Shark Tank, but she got her start in real estate. And what was interesting when I was researching her story, her boyfriend left her for his secretary. And so she used that as fuel. Can you imagine that? Your partner's cheating on you or saying, hey, I don't want to be with you. And she could have said, I'm done, but she didn't. She used it as fuel. And she took his $1,000. I think she invested $1,000 into the company, or maybe he gave that to her as seed money, and she turned it into $66 million. I love this quote. All of the big successes happen on the heels of a failure. Oh my gosh, I can totally resonate with this 100% of all of my being. I can go around the wheel of the 7 areas of life. Like I can look at all my relationships where they have failed, that each one was necessary in order for me to get a better version, right, upgrading the version until I finally got myself into an amazing relationship. I'm engaged, I'm getting married soon. But I could have easily looked at all of those relationships and saying, I'm a freaking failure. And I have to admit, I did. I totally did that for a while. And when I started learning these tools and started studying psychology and neuroscience and realized that, it is all how we look at things. It is our perception of the world, of how we can train our brain to see a different perception. And when we change that perception, our outer reality shifts. So this is what I teach. Anything that you want, I really want you to get this. Anything you want in your life, it's not about the outer stuff. Yes, you need to take action, but you can't take action if you're all over the place. You can't take action if you're beating yourself up and calling yourself as a failure. So we use Barbara as a template to say, wait a minute, if she can do it, I can too. If I just got out of a relationship, I know there's a lot of women probably watching this. Maybe you're going through a divorce, or maybe you're already divorced and it's been years and you're beating yourself up and you're telling yourself this story. Wow, if I only stayed married, then I would have money in my bank account. I want to tell you, girlfriend, you got to stop that. You got to stop beating yourself up, and you got to start reframing failure and use it as fuel. Absolutely, 100%. Okay, I hope you already know this lady, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Now, I don't know what her net worth is. I didn't really find any numbers, and that honestly is not that important. You probably know she is one of very few female leaders as a Supreme Court judge. So what's interesting is she was the second female U.S. Supreme Court justice when she took the oath for office in 1993. Where were you? Where were you in 1993? Maybe you were just born. So her failure highlight, she was unable to find work as a practicing lawyer. She taught law until the case of her life was brought to her, which was awesome. So it was a chance to make the law support gender equality by supporting a man who had been the target of tax law discrimination. So isn't it interesting that, she was trying to pursue her career and she couldn't find work, and all of a sudden, bam, she gets the case that would change her life. And her quote, so often in life, things that you regard as an unimpediment turn out to be a great, or to be great, good fortune. So I absolutely love what she's done as a woman, as a leader in politics, and really giving women this voice. I just think she's a great role model to all women, to young girls. And if you have a big vision, mission, and purpose, and this is something that I teach with my clients, like creating this fearless vision that expands beyond you, expands beyond your bills, because you'll never get past yourself if you only focus on your bills, period. And so the greater vision that you create, and the vision that you created that is crystal clear, that is how you jump into a new reality for your life. And when you start working on your mission, vision, and purpose, that's when your life starts changing, right? Okay, so let's go to the next one, Alicia Keys. You know her. Hopefully you know her. She is a singer-songwriter, a net worth of 70 million. And her failure highlights, she had a song or an album that was originally rejected, Songs in a Mirror. And what was interesting, or her quote is, failure isn't an option. I've erased the word fear from my vocabulary. And I think when you erase fear, you can't fail. So what she did is she reframed the word failure. And she also gave a new meaning to the word fear. One of my mentors said, anything you fear will come near. So if you're afraid to put yourself out there or stand your ground, I'm here to tell you, you're going to attract those things that you do not conquer. You're going to attract those things that you run away from. So when you change your perspective or perception on failure, everything else around you changes. I will say this, as I mentioned before, little boys have been conditioned to, you know, be that, just, I guess, eating fear for breakfast, while women have been running away from it like prey. So if we want to close the gender equality gap, if we want to make more money in our businesses, if we want to feel like we have a voice, then we need to embody these concepts. And I truly believe if we can change these beliefs and these perceptions within us, then we can change the world. Actually, I'm 100% certain of it. So this is one of the reasons why I do the work that I do, because it's so important in my own personal journey. Okay, so we all know Lady Gaga. Sometimes she goes by Gaga. She has a net worth of $300 million. And obviously, she's a singer-songwriter, an actress as well. Gosh, I love that film. The film A Star Is Born. That was absolutely incredible. Her failure highlight was first signed to Island Def Jam Records in 2006, but then she was dropped after 3 months. So can you imagine that? Getting a record deal, or maybe it's a contract with a client, all of a sudden they're like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And it feels humiliating. Maybe you are a career executive and you got hired, then you got fired, right? And you feel like your life is over. So she said, I remember when I got dropped from my for my first record label, I just said, Mommy, let's go see Grandma. Gaga said this actually on MTV in 2011. She cried on her grandmother's couch. She looked at me and she goes, I'm going to let you cry for the rest of the day. And then you got to stop crying. And you have to go kick some butt, right? I allow myself to fail. I allow myself to break. I'm not afraid of my flaws. And so, when I look at this quote, when I look at, what happened to her, she had to express what was going on. I truly believe as women, we can get emotional. And so I don't want you to deny your feelings, but what you don't want to do is stay stuck in your negativity, because then you're starting to rewire that in your personality, and your personality creates your reality. So let's take a page from Gaga. Let's use her as a template and as fuel if you resonate with her. You may or may not like her. I think she's done tremendous things in the world for women, for all equality, for just giving a voice to LGBTQ. So she is just an amazing woman, with her own issues, she recently was doing an interview with Oprah. Oprah had a tour called 2020 Vision, which is interesting because this channel is called Fearless Vision, and I talk about creating your fearless vision. But she shared her vulnerability with the world in talking about her mental health challenges. So we can't hold these people up on a pedestal because no one is perfect, right? To me, it's like this ongoing unfolding of working on yourself. Okay, so let's go back to, actually, this is the last one. 2 women recently that I read about, Steph Curry and Jen Rubio. They have an evaluation with their company for $1.4 billion, net worth about $130 million, at least for Jen. And the industry is manufacturing a company called Away. And what was interesting with their failure highlights, they weren't ready to launch their business. So they created a coffee table book that was really about storytelling through travel. And what they did in that book is they put a coupon for the future. They were actually selling the luggage, that their product was luggage, and the book sold out. So I thought that was pretty interesting that, they were working on something, they had a launch date, they weren't ready, and they're like, okay, we're going to do this instead. They had a workaround solution. A lot of times I find women can procrastinate because of perfection issues. And so that is another way that really holds women back. So this quote, making mistakes means there's an opportunity for a creative solution, which they did. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it. So I hope today that these secrets of 11 successful female visionaries using failure as fuel was inspiring to you. Share down below, your comment below, which one resonated with you. And if you have some of your favorites, let me know. I might just do a video of it in the future. Until next time, this is Heather Pickin, and live fearlessly.